Okay. How many of you have ever gotten a haircut over the phone? It's one of those things where you just kind of got to be there, isn't it? We have found in BNI that attendance has a significant impact on the amount of referrals of a group. And we found this out really through trial and error. You know, I would like to tell you that I sat down and wrote this whole program out on day one, and what we do today is what I wrote 19 years ago, almost 20 years ago. I'd be lying horribly if that were the truth. If you ever look at, I'd be lying horribly if that's what I said. If you look at our program and you ever say, wow, this is really organized, this is structured, this is you know, very systematic, and it really works well, it's because we've made so many mistakes over the years. We've screwed up so much over the last 19 or 20 years that you finally start to get it right. You finally start figuring out what is not what you want to do and what is it that you do want to implement in order to make this program successful. And one of the first things we learned was attendance was critical. We really learned that in the first year or so. I almost hate even bringing this up because it might give people the idea that they should try it. And we've tried it, and we don't want you to do this. But in our first year, we had chapters that met every other week. Okay? They met every other week. That was, in and of itself, a challenge because visitors would sometimes show up on the wrong week. But that wasn't the biggest problem. The biggest problem was the amount of referrals. We only had in the first year, I opened 20 chapters of BNI in the first year. Of those 23 met every other week. 3 of the 20 met every other week. Well, of those 3, we found that the number of referrals that were being generated were a lot less. How many, just out of curiosity, how much less would you guess?
50%.
Yeah, it was 52% less referrals in the chapters that were meeting every other week than the chapters that met every week. And so I literally sat down with those 3 chapters and I said, if I could give you one idea, just one idea, that would double the number of referrals that you were getting, would you do it? And they said, yes. And I said, meet every week. And 2 of them did. 2 of them, I showed them all the facts that we had, and 2 of them did. The third did not. The third did not make it another 6 months. It closed down after about 6 more months of running because it was not generating the amount of referrals. Attendance is critical. I wish it weren't. Hey, it'd be awesome, you know, just pay your membership dues. Come, don't come, we don't care. Wouldn't it be easier? It really would. But the thing is, it wouldn't work. So you wouldn't renew because it wouldn't work, because it doesn't work. It didn't work when we didn't have much of an attendance requirement. And we learned over time that the attendance was critical. Hey, by the way, who do you think created the attendance policy at BNI? Everybody goes, you. They point to me. No, it's members did. Yeah, we have an international board of advisors, which at the time was not international. But when the policy was created, it was a local board of advisors. Well, we were just like in LA at that point. But it's now an international board. And I point that out so that you know that there are members from all over the world that are on our board. And every policy that exists was either written by the board of advisors or approved by the board of advisors. And this particular policy was written and approved by the board of advisors, the attendance. And it really is a matter of the fact that if you're not there, you tend not to bring referrals. You tend not to remember that having to be there every week kind of gives you focus on, it's time for the BNI meeting. I need to think about what referrals I may have in a couple of days. I need to start thinking about that. And so the attendance is really critical. Now, if you don't believe that, I have one other thing to share with you. And you can download this from BNI.com. You go to BNI.com, and if you're the education coordinator of your chapter, that's what you call them here, right? Education coordinators of your chapter, you can get a username and password. Your BNI director can give you the username and password. I don't even know it right offhand. That'll allow you to download the information off of the website that I'm about to share with you. There's a download on an old issue of SuccessNet that's about 10 years old. Back then it was only in the U.S., so it's a U.S. version of SuccessNet from 10 years ago, and it's decreased absenteeism equals more referrals, I think is the title. You've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to read that. If you question whether attendance is important or not, you got to read that. This is what it says. We had a chapter who came to me and said, this is exactly what happened. We're tired of you telling us you got to be at these meetings, that the attendance is important. We're gonna do it because you're hassling us all the time about being here. We're gonna do it. We're gonna show you it's not gonna make a difference. Attendance is not the critical factor. I said, but you're gonna try it. They said, yes, we'll try it. And if we try it for 60 days and we could show you that it doesn't make a difference, will you stop nagging us? Fair enough. I'll do that. That was very reasonable. I said, but you got to really track it. Honest to God, you got to sit down and track it. You got to show a decrease in absenteeism, or you got to show a decrease in absenteeism, and show me that there weren't more referrals as a result of that. And I'll leave you alone if you. They said, fair enough, we'll do that. So for 60 days, they tracked it. Referrals, attendance, in fact, dropped by 50%. I think it was 54% over a 60-day period. Dropped 54%. What do you think happened to referrals? Went up almost exactly the same, went up like 64%. So there's a 50-some% drop in absenteeism, or drop in absences. So absenteeism reduced, and a almost exactly proportional increase in the number of referrals, and an almost exactly increase in the number of members. Membership went up by about 50. This was a really struggling chapter. They were very small, 12 members. They went up by, I think 4 or 5 members in that 60-day period, and the referrals went up by 50%. And their absenteeism dropped. So they became believers. It's like, okay, attendance is important. So we published that. Now that's not the copy that's up there now. What's up there now was another chapter came to me and said, you made that stuff up. We don't believe it. I said, well, why don't you try it? And they said, we'll try it, we'll track it, but we're going to do it 90 days instead of 60 days. I said, fair enough. That's great. Longer's better, so track it, but you got to, let me know what the numbers are. And they said, we will, and you got to publish it. I said, fair enough, I'll do it. That's what's up there. Because this chapter tracked it for 30 days longer. And they were right. The referrals did not go up at the same percentage as the previous chapter. They went up 150%. It's 150, 160%. They went up 3 times more of what it was. 3 times more. A direct correlation between attendance and referrals. And so that's why attendance is so important. Who was it that asked the question over here? That's why attendance is so important. Is that we just find that when you're there, the referrals are passed, and when you're not, it doesn't work. And that's why the policy exists, and that's why we have the attendance. And we find that if you can develop a substitute program in your chapter, we have legitimate subs coming in, it makes a difference. Where there's a will, there's a way. When you have members who are committed to being there, they'll be there. I'll tell you the funniest thing I've ever seen on attendance, and I'm not necessarily recommending that you do this, okay, but this shows commitment. This one woman had never missed a meeting other than her vacations, and she had always sent us up. But she had never missed a meeting, and she had to go out on a business trip, and it was unavoidable. She couldn't miss, so she sent she wasn't able to get a sub, and this is what she did. They were holding the meeting, and they were going around the room, and there was a television in the room, and the president just figured that was for the presenter that week, and so they kind of went around the television to the next person who was doing the 60-second introduction, and the member who brought the TV said, no, to the president, you call them the chapter directors, said to the chapter director, no, if you don't mind, if I could just turn the TV on for a second, and turns the television on, and there's the member who's out on this business trip, right? And she says, hi, everyone. You're looking great today. I'm really sorry I couldn't be there, so I just thought I would do a little video presentation for you. My name is such and such. She does her whole 60-second presentation. Right? Everybody laughs. They go around the room, didn't think anything of it. They had the speaker that week, and then they get to the referral part of the meeting, and they're going around, and everybody's passing out the referrals, and the chapter director jumps over the TV to the person next, and the member goes, "Oh, no, if you don't mind." Turns the TV back on, and there she is. She's back. She says, "Oh, wasn't that a great presentation that you got today? And I have a couple of referrals today. I have 2 referrals." And she takes one of the referrals out and puts it towards the camera, and the guy palms it. He's got a palm in his hand, so like he's taking it out of the television, and he's running the referral around. It was so funny. It was so funny that the membership committee met afterwards and voted that she was present. Now, I'm not sure I'd recommend you guys doing that, because that could get pretty crazy, but what commitment. What a chapter. When people are so committed that they can't make a meeting for a totally legitimate reason, and they can't get a sub, and they spend all that time to make that happen, you got a chapter that's going to be passing tons of referrals. Attendance is critical. It makes or breaks the success of any group in BNI, and that's why we have the attendance policy. I hope that answers your question thoroughly.